Sometimes it's funny, the 5 comes and 7 goes.
Yep, that's usually lately the way it's been.
I don't think your mic is on.
Oh, you know, I'm not worried, that's why, I forgot. Okay, is that better?
It's not on yet.
Testing,
Bill.
testing.
It did this.
Testing.
Not certainly.
Certainly.
Yes, and minimize, or double click this.
Testing, testing.
Yeah,
Is it coming through?
we got it.
Yeah.
I can hear it when I'm tapping. Okay, good. All right. We are ready to begin, if everyone else is ready to begin. What am I getting feedback from?
Just you see it. Yeah, you're good to go, Steve.
Okay. So good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Niagara Falls. I'm Reverend Susan Frawley. It is my honor and privilege to be in the pulpit this morning. As we begin, let's start with our land and social justice acknowledgements. The land that our church sits upon is land that was stewarded by the Haudenosaunee people. It is considered sacred and holy, and is our obligation and our privilege to hold it in that same stead. Unitarian Universalists hold as part of their covenant and part of our values social justice. It is our obligation to side in love with those who are marginalized, oppressed, and harmed in society, making sure that they not only have a place at the table, but that their voice is fully heard and recognized. And so I take a moment to ask you to be present, turn your cell phones off, or just turn down your buzzers. I forgot to do that the other day, so it's really bad when the minister's phone is going off in the middle, but that's okay, it happens. But just take that moment to sort of deconnect, unconnect, reconnect, I don't know, the word just went out of my head. Disconnect, that's what I'm looking for. So to just disconnect, and then just to be present here in our sanctuary, taking in everything that it holds. And every Sunday, it's different. We got heat going on, because now it's cold outside. The skies always look different. And you can even look around and just acknowledge all the other people who are here in church this morning as well, and all the faces that we are going to gather together in worship. Do you hear that feedback? Oh, okay. Okay. So our opening words this morning come from Poet Laureate Mary Oliver. Mary Oliver was not a Unitarian Universalist, but she comes as close, at least in many of her beliefs and practices, as anyone out there, and we kind of embrace her and hold her as one of our own, and I think she would be okay with that. This is a poem, and it also goes along with our orange, so these are her words. It is impossible to be lonely when you're zesting an orange. Scrape the soft rind once, and the whole room fills with fruit. Look around, share. You have more than enough. You always have. You just didn't notice it until now. So that's part of what your orange represents for today, but we're going to talk about oranges more a little later on. And so we are going to light our chalice. So if our usher would light our chalice for this morning, and if all of us would find our chalice lighting words in our order of service. Hopefully those work. Or, even if it doesn't, use the, because sometimes the striking pad, there you go. All right. And so let us recite together our chalice lighting words. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of freedom. And so for our first hymn today, we're going to sing the first hymn in the book. Many times this hymn is traditionally done at the opening ceremonies of the year, at the water ceremony, at the ingathering, but it just seemed to fit in some part with some of the theme we're going to be talking about today. So Patty will play us through, and we're going to sing all the verses, just like Barbara Wagner would say to everybody, of beloved memory from Buffalo UU. May nothing evil cross this door, and may ill fortunes never pry about these windows. May the roar and rain go by. By faith made strong, the rafters will withstand the battering of the storm. This hearth through all the world great will keep you warm. Shall walk softly through.
Yeah, no, I'm doing like I can sit more, not a lot.
Hold wine till every casual corner blooms into a shrine. With laughter drown the raucous shout, and though these sheltering walls are thin, may they be strong to keep hate out and hold love in. Thank you, Patty. It's part of our covenant practice, being together, and it's become sort of a ritual. It's part of our.
I have to turn it up again.
Slide back a bit.
All right.
Not that.
Whoever's listening, if you can mute your Zoom, just because we can hear your conversation. Okay, thank you so much. Sometimes people, that's all right. So, we take time each Sunday to tell each other in a soundbite method the joys, the sorrows, and concerns, the things that are on our hearts and minds. It's been my tradition since 2 years ago, October 7th, that I always would light my candle for all the hostages in the world. There has been a return of hostages, but there are still many hostages. And so I'm going to continue to light a candle for all the hostages held within our world and the hope for peace across our planet. And I invite you to come forward and share your joys, sorrows, and concerns.
Okay. Oh, no, Marge is going first.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I have a sorrow. As some of you know, I'm a longtime member of a group called the Tatler. And one of my favorite people there passed away this last week. And her name is Jeannie Phelps. She was a third generation Tatler member, so her family goes way, way back. And the joy of my life was when my friend Sarah came and took me to visit with her for the last several years. So I will dearly miss her. So will other Tatler members who are not here, like Pam and Diane and a bunch of others. So just thinking of Jean. Anyone else?
Yes, I just wanted to express my tremendous sadness with something that occurred last week, and I'm sure many of you feel the same way. And it's two parts to this. And the first part deals with the tearing down of the east wing of the White House, which is the People's House. I understand having a ballroom could be a welcome thing, but perhaps the way it was done was not the most appropriate way to do it. And the second thing that disturbs me about that event was that originally the President of the United States, our Commander-in-Chief, stated that the building of the ballroom would not in any way endanger the East Wing, that the ballroom would not be touched by the East Wing, and that they would still be separate entities. And the next thing I know, the East Wing is being torn down without any input from anyone who might have disagreed. And it really saddened me. It turned my stomach, to be honest with you. And I just wanted to share that because I'm sure there are many people who feel the same way. And it frightens me that that occurred, because if that can occur, where the leader of our country says one thing and does another, how can that individual ever be trusted? So that's what disturbed me this week, and that's one of my sorrows. So thank you for listening. Anyone else?
Thank you, Marshall. Well, good morning. Just to report on something that was perhaps in the same vein as what Marshall was talking about. We'd been on a trip for a bit, as you know, some of you know, and we're away. Been reading through newspapers that accumulated in the meantime. And one of the revelations was a report about the demonstration in Niagara Square. And nationally, the result that apparently 7 or 8 million people nationally protested certain actions, the kind Marshall described, and many, many more. And incidental to that article was a note at the bottom about a comment by the local leader of the League of Women Voters who made reference to something called the SAVE Act, S-A-V-E Act, it's an acronym. And it turns out the SAVE Act would strip all women of their voting rights whose names on their birth certificates do not match their voter registration credentials. That if they want to get registered to vote and they have a different name when they register to vote from the one that's on their birth certificate, they cannot register and vote in federal elections. And this basically just overturns everything done by the suffragettes and so on and so on. Unbelievable. This was voted for by nearly all the Republicans, perhaps all, in the House. It passed the House. This bill actually passed the House, stripping women of their voting rights. The only thing stopping it, of course, is it didn't get through the Senate. But it would do that. It seems incredible that such a thing could happen. Just incredible. And I didn't know about it until I read this footnote to an article about the demonstration in Niagara Square. So it didn't get much publicity, but this kind of thing is going on, and it's not good. Thank you.
Your mic isn't on. The mic isn't on.
My mic isn't on?
Just slide up the little switch.
Am I on now? Okay. I had a cat party on the 19th. I adopted a cat, and I decided to have a party of welcoming my cat Maggie into her forever home. And I had 20 people come to that party because they thought, I've never been to a cat party before. So it was a lot of fun. We had food. They brought lots of gifts for my cat. My cat, all she had was a little white rope to play with because I didn't have any toys for her. So now she has tons of toys. She's having a blast. And they brought lots of treats for her. And so we ate food, and everybody sat around. I crammed everybody into the house, and everybody just really enjoyed themselves. So I'm real happy to have a cat after my other cat died in 2019. So I'm very happy to have Maggie.
Somebody else who wants to say?
Yep. And this is, you know me, completely off the wall. It might be a joy, it might be a sorrow, I don't know, you can pick. But I'm pretty sure me and Mr. Ewing, or is it Mr. Ewing and I, are pretty much the only folks that use the gate lock and the shed lock. And I guess I can safely say this here, as we age, but not me. Things start to not work just as they used to. So I had to buy 2 new locks. Little tiny movement like sewing and needlepoint ain't happening no more. But I can't operate those locks properly. But I need your opinion. This is the other thing that seems to go. How are we going to remember these combinations? Is there some place y'all can think of where we could write it down so that it's quickly visible? Okay, thanks.
I have a joy of sorts. I watched the World Series, the first game, the Blue Jays did very well, but what really made me happy was the ad that they ran. And they ran it again last night too. Ronald Reagan talking about how bad tariffs are for everybody. And it really pissed off Trump, and I thought it was wonderful.
Okay, thanks. I don't know if I have a sorrow or a joy. Yesterday, I came up with the idea that for the last 100 years, we have had decent presidents, whether they're Democrats or Republicans. Probably the greatest Republican was, who we have during the Civil War?
Abraham Lincoln.
My brain is, but I would say he's the greatest Republican president we've ever had. And myself, I think the greatest Democrat we've had for president has been Franklin Roosevelt. And I think that all the others, except for maybe one other, except for one, they've all been decent presidents. And I'm thinking, maybe the mistake that politicians are making is the Republicans say that Democrats are all evil people, and the Democrats say the Republicans are all evil. And I think there's only one evil one.
Joe, can you turn the mic off, please? Joe, can you turn the mic off? I think the mic is still on.
But does anyone else have anything also that they would wish to share? I can turn the mic back on, of course. And I always feel like, because I used to, when I get right in, there's like this little Bermuda Triangle of, her mic, that mic, and this one, but okay. I don't want to make y'all have to suffer through that horrible noise. Side note, Abraham Lincoln is considered to have been a universalist, although he never mentioned to that. I was teaching a history course yesterday on UUism, and that was one of the, and nobody could believe that one, but there's documentation, so there we go. Even though he's Republican, Abe was one of us, so we'll leave it at that. But for all the joys, for all the sorrows, for the concerns, those that have been mentioned and those that are held in hearts and minds, to all of these we give our best intentions, our best energy, and we bless them, amen and a women. And so today's sermon is somewhat premised on a poem that was written by Seamus Heaney. That poem is called The Cure at Troy. I've adapted just a little of it without taking away its greater measure, and I want to read that today for our spiritual practice. Human beings suffer. They torture one another. They get hurt and they get hard. No poem or play or song can fully right a wrong inflicted or endured. The innocent in galls beat on their bars together. The hunger striker's father stands in the graveyard dumb. The police widow in veils faints at the funeral home. History says, don't hope on this side of the grave. But then, the longed-for tidal wave of justice can rise up, and hope and history. So hope for a great sea change on the far side of revenge. Believe that a further shore is reachable from here. Believe in miracles and cures and healing wells. Call the miracles self-healing, the utter self-revealing double take of feeling. If there's fire on the mountain, lightning and storm, and a God speaks from the sky, that means someone is hearing the outcry, and the birth cry of new life at its term. It means once in a lifetime that justice can rise up, and hope and history rhyme. These are the words of Seamus Heaney. And so at this time we take our offertory, which goes to serve the very good works of this church. Seamus Heaney, the Irish Nobel laureate poet, once said, when confusion and confliction...
Susan?
I'm not on.
You're not on.
So I turned it off. Am I now? Yes. Seamus Heaney, the Irish Nobel laureate poet, said, when confusion and confliction rule the day, it's a good time to hear from a poet. So in his verse adaptation of Sophocles' play, which he titled The Cure at Troy, and you just heard was part of our series of friends, he has the following off-quoted lines. History says, don't hope on this side of the grave. But then, once in a lifetime, long before tidal wave of justice, rise up, hope, history, and time. We are living in time. Every moment, every day, we hold hope, optimism, and despair. Here's a little about me who couldn't figure out some of the things that he said in his poem. He grew up Catholic in Ireland, amidst the violence, or amidst the troubles, and he had friends and family members who were murdered. And yet he did. My father had a cousin in Belfast who, at the tender age of 9, had to make decision words about either acknowledging the state and face Protestant voters who absolutely wanted to beat him up while he was waiting outside hospital for his mom, who was outside. Or say he was Protestant and survive another day. What a terrible, horrible, unbelievable work around him. But living in Ireland in those times, he's the way the story goes is that he said he was Protestant and he lived for another day, but he swore if God got him through, he would devote his life to God. And so in the family, at least as the legacy goes, that's how we got the Bible. go away won't do anything to change the outcome. Of course, I also read that as the time for action, the time to intervene, the time to right wrongs, before we repeat bad history. We've all heard the saying, the lessons will be repeated until they are learned. And it's a very real motto that we need to pay attention to history. In others, we see similar things happening in the world that we don't want to have happen again.
Oh, Susan, hate to do this to you, but you're not audible to the Zoom folks, and I don't know if it's your mic there that's off or what.
Testing.
No.
Testing? There we go. Huh, that's weird because it was on, because I switched it, all right, but.
You're good.
Okay. So how? How do we make hope and history rhyme? They don't from an alliteration perspective, and there ain't no rhymes for oranges either. Who remembers a song? Oranges, poranges, who cares? Oranges, poranges, who cares? Oranges, poranges, who cares? There ain't no rhyme for oranges. And it's true. Oh, damn. People have tried to make rhymes with the oranges, but here's the thing. We have certainly seen poetry that lifts up the beauty, the presence, the goodness, and the health-giving properties of oranges. So let's try that with hope and history. Miller Williams, also a poet, wrote the poem Of History and Hope. He wrote it marking the day of Bill Clinton's inauguration for the second time. And in his poem, he wanted to portray hope and laying the foundation stone of a flourishing presidency and as a moment of hope for all Americans. Williams knew that what should be best to portray at that day for Americans was the beaming of hope for the coming years. So therefore, the poet tried to tell them the future was in the hands of children, he said. Their upliftment is synonymous, rhyming with the betterment of the nation. Their upliftment is synonymous and rhyming with the betterment of the nation. Those words seem to hit hard in these times right now. History usually tells us what has happened, but we have learned that the educational history is often limited and sparse in its true telling of time. We've seen expansion and correction of past historical tales. This seems to be in line with our value of self-education for what is true and real in the world. As you use, that's one of our values. We have also seen the erasure of history, like slavery, the Holocaust, LGBTQ advocacy. This done by scared people who don't like the rhyme that goes with truth. It could leave us with couth, or the rhyme they don't like is uncouth, soothe, or unsettling, youth, or malleable future voters, sleuth, or obstructionist. See how that goes, kind of? Reframing of history using words that move the definition, the alliteration, or the meaning of actions or intentions. As you use, words mean a lot to us. The Jesuit priests, who are often called the educated ordained, we're like that a lot. You use think deeply and argue loudly, sometimes to come to a better understanding of what is meant from what has been said and also from what is implied. Similar to a lot of the theological writings of many Jesuit writers. We live in a gaslighting, retraction of what was said or meant, double talk, hate speech, veiled as religious freedom, and made-up research and lies world. This is not the first time in history. Most are all too aware of the Nazi history. We actually viewed the movie here about the UUs who went to Germany to help, along with the Quakers, to help people to leave that horrible, horrible time. But there are many cultures and religions. They've done actions to accomplish, and in the process, there's been a result of killing or resistance, or they've established a dominance that does not allow for the freedom of thought or speech or action. So we need to rhyme our history and hope. We need and both to move to a healthy state so we can survive the assaults on our senses and be able to be productive as we work to reverse a bad history. We need oranges. They have zest, they have seeds, they have juice, they have vitamins, they have flesh. They are the realest thing that we can hold that can feed so many of the harms in our world. And we can share them easily. Once we start that healing, we will be stronger to influence history, to hope for the best in our world, to play with language and actions that makes all those words rhyme, even if it's just inside our own imagination, because that's where hope and history seeds grow. And so now it is time for Talkback. Talkback is the opportunity for you to speak what is on your mind, anything that today's sermon or program has made you ponder, challenge, whatever it is. So I invite you to talk back. I'm turning.
Okay, so I've been thinking about this a lot lately, but especially today. And not only your sermon, but a lot of the comments, like Marshall and I can't remember who else, had comments today about, and Teresa, had comments about what's going on in this country. There's a saying, he who ignores history is doomed to repeat it. And that's what's happening in this country right now. We're ignoring what happened in World War II. And Nazism, fascism, it's right back. It's right back now, and people aren't realizing it. And Trump has this thing about this Antifa, where we're against Antifa. Antifa means anti-fascist, and that's bad. So it's very scary, and yeah, and you really touched on exactly what's going on. Thank you. Anybody? They've already talked all morning, so.
So today, can you hear me through this? Okay. Well, I thought about hope when you were speaking because I have an 8-year-old and we don't have a TV, and I try to keep him sheltered from the world right now. And so it made me think about we've been through this many times before, and so that's the message that I give him, like, oh yeah, this happened, but there was a literal civil war here before. Like, people killed Americans, you know, like, we've been through this, and it just gave me some hope, and it reminded me of hope, and the message that I give him is hopeful. We can get through this, you know, just stake up for your values, and, you know, there's hope. This is not the end of the world. There's hope.
want to share? Nope. Okay, just checking in with you. Is there anyone else we should share? So I'm thankful this is so this morning. Especially I'm thankful everyone for listening.
Mike?
How's that? Okay. So I want to thank everyone who has shared. I want to thank everyone who's listened to everyone who was sharing, because that's also a big part of our community. The listening, the paying attention to each other. Sometimes it's just being that physical presence of support, even sometimes if it's silent. It means so much. And for me, when you engage in this talkback, you minister to me. And for that, I am very grateful, and I thank you for that. We are going to sing 146, Soon the Day Will Arrive. So I'll give you a moment to find that in your hymnals. Patty's going to play it in, and then she started with it.
Soon the day will
arrive when we will be together, and no longer will we live in fear, and the children will smile without wondering whether day their clouds will appear. Wait and see. And be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be. If we share, if we care, you and me. Have dreamed, some have died to make a bright tomorrow. Remains in our hearts. Now the torch must be passed with new hope, not in sorrow, the promise to make a new start. And see we share if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Thank you. It's announcements time. If anyone has any announcements for the good of the congregation or the community, I invite you to share at this time. And of course, Erica's always really good about sending us out. We see the newsletter information, we see the updates, and of course, she sends who is speaking and any of the others. So you can always look for that, or check on the website, or check in for the newsletter if you have any questions or concerns about what's coming up. Our benediction today. What was Seamus Haney's last message? His last words were in a text message that he wrote to his mother just minutes before he passed. He did it in his beloved Latin, and they were, "Noli timere," don't be afraid. And so we will extinguish our chalice, and if you all would recite together our chalice extinguishing words. Extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And Patty's going to give us some postlude.
Well, kind of. You inspired me. So whatever I come up with out of this. The only thing that rises thumb, lime, dime, banana, hosanna, cherry, berry, Harry, hooray, a Harry berry, that's scary. But isn't this a mandarin? Or a mandarin? A tangerine or a tangerine? Potato, patata, tomato, tomato. Let's do it all again.
All right, that was good. That was great. Thank you so much. In a moment, we'll adjourn downstairs. I just want to tell you while I'm here, you'll read Erica's newsletter, but when I see you next month, I'm going to be talking about death. So I want to let you know that ahead of time. We're going to talk about what death means to us as you use. How do you plan death? It's inevitable. And I'm also going to be bringing some paperwork that if anyone wants to do pre-planning, we can work together. We'll do that sort of after, but just so that no one is triggered, just know that's going to be the topic. And the title is called Death Box. And I'll explain more about what that is when I see you next November. So till then, be well. He's awesome.